Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, this will be a video for the hometown crowd, but it really should interest anyone who wants to understand the hypocrisy of the modern civilian disarmament movement. We got a classic example of a person who truly believes rules for thee and not for me, and yet has been absolutely hell-bent on disarming all of you out here in the state of Washington. We'll explain exactly what we're talking about in just a moment. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about the hypocrisy of the civilian disarmament movement. Exhibit A. Okay, Washington, we are going to talk about a controversial member of our Washington State House of Representatives, that being, of course, Miss Tarra Simmons. Now, I have already done some posts on X, and I've seen how fired up y'all get about her previous felony record and stuff like that, and whether or not she should even be in possession of firearms. And so for purposes of this video, we're going to stay laser focused on a couple of aspects, and we're going to ask that you do the same with the comments, because here's the thing. I have no reason to doubt that Representative Simmons, who, yes, absolutely had felonies in her background, okay, has gone through the appropriate legal channels to clear her record and to restore her Second Amendment rights. And as a defense attorney, and as a person who has assisted many individuals in restoring their Second Amendment rights, I recognize that the law does allow people who have had checker pass but have turned the corner on a personal level to clear themselves of some of the horrible burdens that come with that sort of criminal history. So I am not to suggest for one second that Representative Simmons is not fit to serve in office, nor am I suggesting that she is unlawfully possessing any firearm. But what we are going to laser focus on today is how does she vote versus how does she live? Because I believe that is an important thing that we should take into consideration. Let's go back in our time machine, November 2020. Miss Simmons is elected to the Washington State House of Representatives for the first time, first person ever to do so as a convicted felon. Okay, whatever. Now, she then assumes office January of 2021. In the 2022 legislative session, Representative Simmons is presented with Senate Bill 5078. You guys don't remember Senate Bill 5078? That was our magazine ban, okay? Now, that came out of the Senate, went over to the House. Representative Simmons voted in favor of it. Here it is right here. Okay. That then gets signed by the governor, goes into effect approximately a year later. So she's on the record as wanting to ban large capacity or high capacity magazines, or what you and I call standard capacity magazines. The very next legislative session, coming out of her chamber, is House Bill 1240, House Bill 1240. This ultimately became Washington's assault weapon ban. She voted in favor of that. Here it is, her vote on the record there. And let us remember that the bill as drafted had an emergency enactment clause, which always remained in the bill. So when Governor Inslee signed the bill on April 25th, 2023, it went into effect that exact moment. So Representative Simmons is clearly on the record in supporting a ban of standard capacity magazines, as well as semi-automatic rifles, or what the state wants to call assault weapons. All right. Now we fast forward to March 30th of this year, because here's Representative Simmons on her Facebook page at a range getting trained, which again, I'm not making a big deal out of her being at a range and getting trained. As a matter of fact, for the purposes of the video, I'll applaud her on that. But there's this photo right here, which shows her clearly holding a firearm in the AR platform, translation, assault weapon, and it appears to have a very standard 30-round magazine, translation, unlawful high-capacity magazine. And if you really want to get picky and you look at this photo over here with the handguns, that looks like a whole bunch of magazines right there that also hold more than 10 rounds. Now, understand that these were probably all purchased before the bans went into effect, and therefore they are in all likelihood lawfully possessed, and we don't have any information to suggest otherwise. Ms. Simmons claims that all of these items belong to her instructor. And again, I will assume that in arguendo as well. But every time we've tried to challenge an assault weapon ban or a magazine ban in this state, or any time the Republicans got up and tried to fight against either one of these pieces of legislation, what was it that the Democrats said? What was it that the Attorney General's office argued all the time? They always said, you don't need this. You don't need this because it's not appropriate for self-defense. Who needs a 15-round magazine? Who needs an AR-15. You don't need that for self-defense. That is literally the argument they make all the time. And because you don't need it for self-defense, therefore the Second Amendment does not protect it. Okay. But when you take a look at the text that comes along with Representative Simmons' post, we see, kind of sad that single women need to learn how to protect themselves these days, but I couldn't ask for a better teacher. Well, I agree. It is kind of sad that you have to. And again, I applaud you for going out there and training yourself, Representative Simmons. But what you're telling all of us there is that you believe that these types of firearms and magazines are in fact appropriate for self-defense because, well, you're being trained with them for what? To learn how to defend yourself. So let me get this straight. You don't believe that Washington residents should have access to magazines which hold more than 10 rounds, one of these. And you don't believe that Washington residents should have access to AR-15s, AK-47s, or any semi-automatic rifle that you want to call an assault weapon, or essentially one of these. And yet, when you feel threatened and you feel as though you need to do more to protect yourself, which again, I applaud you for taking the necessary steps to protect yourself, you immediately run to an instructor who selects what as the tools to train you with? But if that's not hypocritical enough, Washington, our good friends over at Watchdog Law, which will be linked up down below, well, through a Freedom of Information Act request, they became privy to a bunch of emails between Representative Simmons and Speaker of the House Lori Jenkins. And in an email dealing with firearm restoration rights, Representative Simmons said, "Thank you, Speaker Jenkins. I am not opposed to responsible gun legislation. I want all guns gone in our society." And I just want you to think about that right there. I want all guns gone in our society. Okay, that is the official position that Representative Simmons gave to her party leader and the Speaker of the House. So at the end of the day, Washington and America and anyone else who's wallowing in our misery, understand that much like other aspects of the modern progressive movement, it is all based upon a principle of rules for thee, but not for me. It is all based on the arrogant standard that I know what's best for you, and I am the one that will attach a value to your life, and I am the one who will determine how and when you may defend it. And to Representative Simmons, listen, I got no problem that you had some felonies in your background. I have no problem that you restored your Second Amendment rights. That's what people should do. I have zero problem with you going out there and learning to be a lawful and responsible gun owner and getting the training. I have no problem with you believing that it's not a safe community, because it's not a safe community anymore. And candidly, your party is the reason it's not a safe community anymore. But the next time you're in Olympia with all of your colleagues down there and they're trying to come up with the next way to disarm lawful and responsible gun-owning Americans, I want you to think about when the collective what hit the fan for you. What did you immediately turn to when you believed that it was necessary to defend your own life? Listen, we're going to go ahead and link up everything down below so that you guys can geek out on it for yourself. Check out Watchdog Law. If you got any questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, which is not much here in Washington, you should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. But if you don't, that's okay. That information's down there in the description box. If you got an idea for a video we should be doing around here, you click on that link right there and tell us all about it. If you want to subscribe to the monthly newsletter, that info is down there in the description box. And then finally, and most importantly, let's everyone remember that part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.